I will do my best with the microphone. You may notice that I am not a polished professional speaker, but I will do my best. I'm delighted to be here this morning and so grateful for your time and interest in the Salem Reads project. First, I'll tell you a little bit about my love of libraries, then give you some background on the Salem Public Library Foundation and why we committed to a community reads effort. Then a little history about last year's work, and finally some detail about this year's program, which begins February 2nd. I have a deep love for libraries. I loved the Tahoe City Library in my hometown. As a child, I remember spending after-school hours in our small public library under the watchful eye of a woman named Mrs. Attardi. She was warm and kind and welcoming as we found our way through the collection in the small library. I love the Salem Public Library also. Its open, comfortable design, its kind, helpful staff. I love the librarians and their dedication to their work and to serving all members of the public. I love the volunteers who help library staff do their work. I love the volunteers who serve on the support boards, which include the Salem Public Library Foundation, the Friends of the Library, and also the Library Advisory Board. I love the Children's Department. I love the jumping joy of children coming to programs, eager to learn and delighted to bring books home with them. I love the computer center that allows all members of our community access to technology. I love that the library is one of the last places people can go and know it won't cost them money to spend the day there. And I understand we have parking at the library, and that is an issue for many, and that's another conversation for another day, unfortunately. I love that the library is safe, accepting, a quiet place for everyone, especially those in need of getting out of the weather. I love that some people never come to the library, but download books on our website. I love the free Wi-Fi. I love that 1,500 people a day come through the doors of the Salem Public Library. I love the magic that happens at the library every day, making it a hub of the community. So, as you can tell, it's clear that I value libraries. As you would expect, the Foundation Board sees the important value of a strong library and wants to support it. But why did the Foundation choose to build a huge new project from the ground up in the form of Salem Reads, One Book, One Community? It's simply because we want people, we want people to read books and to know the library as a vital community resource. The Foundation has been committed to supporting enhancement projects, programs, and services of the Salem Public Library since 1981. I would guess there may be some former board members and donors in the audience today. Go ahead, I see a few, thank you. And so we are grateful for the volunteer support that we receive, and that the efforts are still going strong these many years later. The Salem Public Library Foundation has been instrumental in library renovation projects such as the Anderson meeting rooms, the West Salem Branch Library, creating the teen scene, improved technology and Laux Auditorium, and the children's area renovation. And our most recent project is the Gala Reading Room, which opened in mid-October. I hope many of you had the pleasure of seeing it. Patrons love it and have flocked to it ever since it opened. Next week, there will be an opening ceremony on January 23rd at 10 a.m. if any of you would like to attend and celebrate the opening of the Gala Reading Room. The Foundation also funded the advocacy campaign called Renew Our Library, which was to encourage passing of the recent bond measure to seismically retrofit the library. The foundation is dedicated to a strong, vibrant, relevant library, and we want people to read books. A Pew Research Center survey found only 48% of those 16 and older have visited a public library in person in the last year, or in 2015. That same survey found that 27% of adults have not read a book in the last 12 months. So we started Salem Reads because we want more people to read books. So our other goals include strengthening the library's role in the cultural life of Salem, encouraging young people to develop a love of reading, increasing the library visibility throughout Salem, introducing the library to people not currently patrons, inviting and welcoming everyone in Salem, and increasing the library's partnership with community businesses and organizations. I'll outline what we did last February and how we met these goals. Beginning in 2016, the foundation board members did extensive research on other community reads programs. Their favorites were Bend, Hillsborough, and Lake Oswego. Salem's program is modeled closely on Lake Oswego's. We set out to choose a book, encourage the entire community to read that book, and then come together to participate in programs based on the themes of the book. We wanted to choose books that have themes important to our city, books that appeal to a broad range of ages, and books to create conversations and connections between people, all with the library as the central focus. For 2017 season, we chose Spare Parts by Joshua Davis. It's the true story of 4 undocumented young men from an underfunded school in a poor neighborhood in Phoenix, Arizona. Their excellent teachers encouraged them to work on underwater robotics. They entered a national competition as high school students and ended up beating MIT. They were very proud of that, and it was a great achievement. The themes that Salem Reads focused on were robotics, cultural diversity, community inclusion, educational opportunity, and with a specific outreach to the 25% of Salem residents who are Hispanic. Toward our goal of strengthening the library and the cultural life of Salem, we had 728 people who checked out the book Spare Parts, 1,200 people who attended the Robot Expo, which was on the main floor of the library. Chemeketa Robots team brought robots to the main floor of the library for children and adults to interact with, and that was a great success. 100 attended 3 Oregon Humanities conversation projects. 140 attended movies. We had both a documentary and a feature-length film. And then about 500 people saw the author in person when he visited. We have encouraged young people to develop a love of reading. And Salem Reads chose a book that would appeal to young people's interests. And as you know, many children are interested in robotics, and that it's a very popular thing to do in school and outside of school. We gave 500 books to the Salem Kaiser School District to create high school classroom book kits. Many classes read the book for English, social studies, math, and science classes. We had the authors speak at CTEC, the Career and Technical Education Center, which is a vocational school for district high school students to learn work skills in construction, cosmetology, and other subjects. We have increased the library visibility in Salem. We printed and distributed 25,000 copies of the event calendars, invited all the book clubs we could locate to join, ran ads in the local newspapers, put bag stuffers in 16,000 Roth's grocery bags, did a radio interview on KMUZ, and spoke at gatherings like this one. And I did put my email address up on the screen in case you're in a book club who isn't on our email list. I have about 35 book clubs on my email list, but if you'd like to send me the name of your club and the contact person for that club, I'll add you to our book club email list. And we send just occasional things. You won't be barraged. And then we have introduced those not currently patrons to the library. We had 146 people get library cards in January and February of 2017 over the same period the year before. So we have invited and welcomed everyone we can in Salem to participate. And we reached out to school and private robotics competitions, invited the Hispanic community, invited local school districts, private schools, and homeschoolers, and we also invited the Chemawa Indian School to participate. All libraries in the CCRLS system, which is a regional library system that is Salem and Chemeketa, and then a lot of outlying libraries, we encourage them to participate in this also. So we have developed many library partnerships with businesses and organizations, and on your the event calendar for this year, you can see some of those businesses that have supported us and other organizations in town. And we are continuing to build and strengthen those relationships. So we've helped encourage people to read books and to view the library as an important asset to the Salem community. And you may ask, how is this all funded? And the foundation was the lead in choosing this project and committing funding to it. Last year, it cost a little over $50,000 to do the Salem Reads program. The foundation committed the funds and then sought grants and corporate sponsors and organizational partners to help cover some of the costs. We were very grateful to receive a $25,000 grant from the Oregon Community Foundation. They have a special fund within their foundation that's called the Oregon Public Library Innovation Fund, and they saw this project as something that would be, if they built capacity in it, that it would be a long-term advantage to the public library. This grant helped us build a strong program structure and got us off to a powerful and professional start. Capital Toyota and Bob Welly of Ameriprise have been dedicated sponsors, as has the Salem Library Advisory Board. Our close partner is the Salem Public Library itself, and they have offered facilities, staff, and program planning expertise to the Salem Reads program. For the 2018 season, Spirit Mountain Community Fund granted $3,000 to Salem Reads. So if you know businesses or individuals that may be interested in this project, I would love to talk to them, and my contact information will be up at the end. So we feel like we've made good progress towards our goals, and we were ready to start the next season. For 2018, we chose a book called Outcasts United by Warren St. John. It is the true story of a typical southern U.S. town transformed into one of the nation's most diverse communities as a refugee resettlement site. In Outcasts United, St. John explores the impact of the radical change for both the refugees and for the townspeople through the story of a youth soccer team called the Fugees. We liked this book because it allows us to focus on inclusion, community, learning about other cultures, understanding, and compassion. Outcasts United also has a young adult version, which allowed us to place almost 900 books in the middle and high schools in the Salem-Keizer district. attracting even a younger audience. Soon after we selected Outcasts United, we contacted Salem for Refugees. It is a network of volunteers who help newly arrived refugees settle into Salem. They warmly embrace the book and the program and will be featured in a panel discussion. So let's take a look now at this year's event schedule. That's what we passed out earlier. And in the very center of it are all of the events, and I'll just briefly run down what those events are and why we chose them in some cases. You can also find this event schedule on the Salem Reads tab of the Salem Public Library Foundation website. And from that, we have live links that go to all of the partnering organizations. You can also, on the Salem Reads tab of the Foundation website, see the program from last year and see the different events that we had if that's of interest to you. So I'm also assuming that there might be a few City Club members in the room. Yes, good. Our first event this year is on February 2nd, and it's across the street with the Salem City Club, and they're doing a meeting focused on soccer and what soccer has meant to Salem. And we're very grateful. This is the second year in a row where they have done a program in February that ties in closely to the Salem Reads project, and we're very grateful for their participation. Also on Friday, February 7th, is a group called Andaluz that will be coming from Portland, and they're an ensemble that draws influences from Africa, the Middle East, and beyond, and that has been a very popular program. I don't believe they do tickets, but it's just something that you can show up for on the 2nd. And then as we move down the page, Tuesday, February 6th is the biggest night of Salem Reads. It is the night that we do a book distribution, free book distribution. We give out free tickets to the author speaking event, which is February 27th. And we have the opening of our art exhibit. And also, there's one error in the program, I regret to say. The book club that says it meets Wednesday, February 7th at 7 p.m., that is actually happening on Tuesday. So that's our fourth event that's happening on Tuesday. And Books for Dessert will be having their discussion of Outcasts United that night also. So I'll explain these in a little bit more detail. The book giveaway, we have about 500 books that we'll be giving out to the public. Anyone who comes to the library with a library card will be able to receive a book. We have the two different versions, the young adult version and the adult version, and those will be available until we pass them all out. We'll also have another table, which is the lecture ticket giveaway, and your library card can get you 2 tickets to the author lecture, which is February 27th. And that'll be the best time to get tickets for the author visit. We expect to give all those tickets away that night. And then Outcasts United the book was given to 15 local artists, most of whom are professional artists with studios, and they did their interpretation of the book in their art form. And so that exhibit will be opening the February 6th. It will hang in the library for a month, and then it will move on to the Staten Library for a month, the SCIO Library for a month, and then Silverton Library for a month. And then the artwork will come back into Silverton and go back to the artists. Last year, one of the artists was very excited when Joshua Davis chose to buy his piece of artwork and take it home with him. So we'll have the author look at the art. On Tuesday, the 6th, the artists will be available to speak. We'll have a light dinner reception. So it will be a nice night to get a lot of things done and to see a lot to kick off Salem Reads. Then on Wednesday the 7th, the Salem Multicultural Institute will be starting their display, which is a display into April, of refugees who have settled in Salem and what they think about Salem, how they were welcomed, and how they've fared since they've been here. And there'll be photographs and also items that they brought with them, all on display. And the Salem Multicultural Institute has a very nice gallery, many of you may know of it, in the Reed Opera House building, and they do displays of cultural interest. I think it's 5 or 6 times a year. So we're grateful to have them as a partner in this also. And February 7th is our first Oregon Humanities conversation. These are professionally facilitated conversations inviting people to speak and listen about how others view the world. The first is titled, "What Does It Mean to Be an American?" And our leader will help us identify differences and points of connection in a thoughtfully facilitated civil conversation. And last year we had 3 of these Oregon Humanities conversation projects, and they were wonderful. It was just heartwarming to be in a room with people where you knew your values and your opinions were different, but to sit and have a civil conversation and to understand where other people were coming from and why they held the beliefs and the values that they had. So I think these are incredibly valuable to our desire to have connections and conversations within the community. On February 10th, that's our big collaboration with Salem for Refugees. And that's featuring Doug and Anya Holcomb, and they're the directors of Salem for Refugees. It's a network of, I think maybe 50 or 100 volunteers that meets every month, and their sole purpose is to break into different groups to meet the needs of refugees who are being resettled here in Salem. 2 weeks ago, 2 new families came in, and because of the hard work of these people, those families went into stable living situations with everything they needed, from pots and pans to linens to school supplies. The kids are getting into school, and it's the way they've organized it so beautifully, it's almost seamless and reduces some of the trauma that these people will feel as they end up in a completely different world. So I'm grateful for their support of our program. And they'll moderate a panel, and the panel will feature people instrumental in helping welcome refugees to Salem and discuss some of the difficulties they have and ways that we can help. The library's Teen Advisory Board will be at that event also, and they're gathering items for refugee baby kits. So things like onesies and baby wipes and diapers will be gathered by the students, and then they will distribute them to Salem for Refugees to be put into kits for new families that arrive. On February 15th, we have an after-school program in the Discovery Room, which will feature weaving from Ghana. And I really appreciate the children's librarians making an effort to reach into the Salem Reads program. Unfortunately, our book is generally out of the reading ability of children, but they've been very kind in producing a program that goes along with Salem Reads. On February 17th, we have Lessons of Basketball and War. That's a film that was shot in Portland, and it's about a girls' middle school basketball team, mostly made up of Somali refugees, and their struggles and what they need to do to learn to get along together, and then to get along in their bigger situation. It's a lovely film, and the director will be joining us for a discussion afterwards. We have a Books for Lunch Club on the 21st, and on the 20th, the Teen Book Club. The Teen Book Club is open to all middle and high school students, and then the Books for Lunch Club is open to any adults that would like to come, and both of those groups will be talking about Outcasts United. On February 22nd, we have a documentary film called A Great Wonder, and that features 3 Sudanese boys, young men, who are settled in Seattle, and the challenge that they face. And that'll have a discussion afterwards. It's part of the Salem Progressive Film Series. So we're grateful to have them as a partner also. On the 24th of February, the teen librarian will be creating a replica of a dwelling of refugees with the sort of belongings that they'll have, the living conditions, so that people can look at that and try to understand what it would be like to live in a place that long. We kind of think of refugee camps as temporary, but the average is 6 to 10 years before families get out of a refugee situation and end up in more stable housing. So we'd like people to kind of get an idea of what that might look like. And also on the 24th, we're having our 3rd Oregon Humanities Conversation Project, and that will be Stone Soup, and we'll be exploring how food creates community and connection. And then on February 27th, that's our final event with Warren St. John. He'll be speaking at Laux Auditorium at 7 p.m. that evening. I'd really like to encourage any of you that would like to attend that event to come on the 6th to get your tickets. If you are not there on the 6th, the only other way to get tickets is to show up the night of, and any people that are not in their seats by 6:45, their tickets will be forfeited, and then any people that are waiting in line outside will be able to take those available seats. So it'll be far more comfortable to come see the art, enjoy a little bit of food, and get your tickets that way than waiting in the cold. So, the Salem Public Library Foundation started Salem Reads to encourage people to read books and to know the library. And we hope that you will join us in Salem Reads activities. And I'm grateful for your time and attention. And please feel free to contact me with questions. There's all my contact information. Ideas of potential supporters, or any other questions or comments you may have about Salem Reads. And I'm happy to take questions. Thank you.
Is there a way for you to assess the actual kids that you're hoping will read this book, as far as their acceptance of it, their interest in it? I don't know whether you ever actually get in touch with that part of it.
Yes, when we receive grants, the grant funders often say, what are the measurables? And we can measure things like gate counts on a specific day of an event at the library. We can measure the circulation of books through the library. How it reaches the students and how it resonates with them is a little more difficult. We do have contact with a number of the librarians. I don't know if you know, but it's my understanding that the Salem Kaiser School District has librarians in each of the 6 high schools, but there are not librarians in the middle schools. So we're in close contact with a number of the librarians in the high schools, and they can give us a sense of the excitement. We understood that the soccer coaches and some of the math and science teachers are looking for books to engage their students with, and that both of these books have been appealing to them for that reason. So, but in terms of hard, fast numbers, it's kind of an intangible thing. We throw the books out there and we hope they stick. The one thing that is nice about what we're able to do is that we give those books to the Salem Kaiser School District, and they're able to keep those book kits in circulation until they wear them out. So they may have farther reach over a longer period of time also.